What's up, guys? It's Devana. Thank you for stopping by today. If you're new here, welcome, and if you've been hanging around, thanks for coming back. Well, I got a new microphone. I just wanted to let y'all know, so hopefully the audio is going to sound a lot better. Also, I wanted to mention that on Fridays, I'm no longer going to be uploading the Reddit episodes. I will occasionally do them, but just not every Friday. So I'm going to start uploading each week on Thursdays and on Saturdays, is my plan. So with that being said, let's get started. This was the exact moment that Sabina Eriksson decided to run directly into oncoming traffic. So, how did we get here? Let's back up and I'll tell you all about it. The commonly accepted timeline begins on Friday, May 16, 2008, when Sabina and Ursula Eriksson, two Swedish women in their late 30s, traveled to Liverpool by ferry. It's believed, though nobody on the said ferry has ever come forward to confirm that they were seen. From Sabina's home in Mallow, County Cork, Ireland, Ursula had traveled from her home in the U.S. to visit her twin sister. Once in Liverpool, arriving, it's believed, at 8:30 a.m. on Saturday, May 17th, they both went to visit St. Anne Police Station, where Sabina reported concerns about the safety of her children back in Ireland. The police made contact with officers in Dublin and promised to follow the complaint up. At 11:30 a.m., Sabina and Ursula boarded a National Express coach to London. Again, no other traveler has ever come forward to say that they were also on that coach. The sisters left the coach at Kiel service station, which isn't a scheduled rest stop. It's either because they were feeling unwell, as stated by the police report that would follow, or because, as the bus driver has claimed, they were acting erratically. The latter story goes that they both held on to their bags, having refused to put them in the luggage hold, and that the driver asked to search their luggage. When they refused, they were ordered off the vehicle. Once at the service station, they headed to the back of the complex. The service manager, also alarmed by their behavior, called the police. Her concern was that the twins were carrying explosives. The police came to speak to the women. Convinced they posed no threat of harm, either to the service station or themselves, the police allowed them to leave. What happened next was extraordinary. Having seemingly left the service station on foot, the two sisters were spotted on security camera walking down the median of the M6 highway. Later, their elder brother would claim that they were fleeing from maniacs, though nothing to confirm this has ever been released on film. They attempted to cross the road, Sabina being grazed by a red sedan as they tried. Highway agency officers headed to the scene, as did the Central Motorway Police Group, with camera operatives from the Traffic Cops program who were shadowing the unit at the time. They stopped the sisters. The situation appeared calm. The sisters stood smoking and chatting. Sabina was wearing a yellow visor, and it said, "Time to believe." Then, as the arriving police were being briefed about the situation, Ursula suddenly ran into the road, her coat being pulled from her by a concerned officer as she attempted to free herself. She ran straight into the side of an oncoming truck. It was traveling, it's estimated, at about 56 miles per hour. You can see her shoes thrown across the road in the wake of the collision. Seconds later, Sabina jumped into the road, smashing into the windshield of a Volkswagen Polo. Ursula's legs were crushed. Sabina was unconscious for about 15 minutes, and somehow they both survived. After an air ambulance was called, Sabina started to come around and responded by immediately clawing and spitting at the police officer that was attempting to help her. She screamed, "I recognize you, you're not real." She made a claim about the theft of her organs, then, miraculously, she rose to her feet and started screaming for the help of the police, seemingly unable to establish that those were the police that were trying to help her. Sabina began to ask them, "Why do you kill me?" Then she punched a police officer in the face and bolted into the next highway. With nowhere to go, she took her red coat off and squared up with the police officers surrounding her, who eventually put her into handcuffs. Searching the debris of the incident, the police found a number of broken cell phones. The sisters were taken to the hospital. Ursula, her legs were fractured, so she was admitted. Sabina, seemingly uninjured, was taken to the police station to be processed, but she was much calmer by this point. Frustrated that she had to take her jewelry off, and they said even a bit flirty, she commented to an officer, "We say in Sweden that an accident rarely comes alone. Usually at least one more follows, maybe two." The following day, Sabina was released from court. She pleaded guilty to the charges of punching a police officer and trespassing on the highway, and was sentenced to 1 day in custody. Having spent a full night in the police station, she was deemed to have served her sentence. Remarkably, there had been no full psychiatric evaluation. Sabina was now stranded in a city in England called Stoke-on-Trent, wearing Ursula's green top and carrying her possessions, including a laptop and £1,000, or about $1,300 in USA cash, in a clear plastic bag provided by police. At around 7 p.m., 2 local men out walking a dog stopped by Sabina. The dog belonged to Glenn Hollinshead, 54, a former RAF airman. His friend was Peter Folie. Sabrina asked if there were any B&Bs nearby. Glenn suggested that they go back to his house nearby, but Sabina was nervy. She agreed anyway. Once there, she couldn't stop peering out the window. She offered the 2 men a cigarette, but then oddly enough, she snatched them out of their mouths before they could even light them, claiming that they might be poisoned. Just before midnight, Peter Malloy left. Sabina stayed the night. The following day, at around 7:40 p.m., Glenn made some food before heading outside to ask the neighbor, Frank Booth, if he could borrow some tea bags. Less than a minute later, he staggered back outside, bleeding, telling Frank, "She stabbed me." His last words before he died allegedly were, "Look after my dog for me." Frank called the police. Sabina fled. She was spotted running by a driver named Joshua Gradage. It was later said that she was hitting herself with a hammer at regular, if not erratic, intervals. Gradage tried to restrain her and was hit by a roof tile Sabina had in her pocket. Eventually, she made it to a bridge, where she jumped 40 feet onto the A50 highway, breaking both of her ankles and fracturing her skull. This was the last act of madness that Sabina Eriksson would commit, though certainly not the end of the madness by any means. Sabina was arrested on suspicion of murder while at the University Hospital of North Staffordshire on June 9th. In a wheelchair, she was discharged on September 11th, charged and taken into custody the same day. Ursula was released in the same month. She made it back to America via some time spent in Sweden. Never charged with a crime herself, she is now a member of the Sacred Heart Church in Bellevue, Washington. Sabina's trial was due to start February 2009, the following year, but ultimately it didn't begin until September 1st of that year. There were reportedly problems in obtaining Sabina's medical records from Sweden. On September 2nd, Sabina pled guilty to manslaughter with diminished responsibility. There was no explanation. Every question put to her was greeted with a reply of no comment. The video from the M6 highway was never shown. The prosecution and defense both claimed that Sabina was insane at the time of the killing, but not at the time of the trial. The defense claimed that Sabina was a secondary sufferer of Folie, Deux, French for a madness of 2, going on to claim that she had transmitted insanity from her twin Ursula. The prosecution at Nottingham Crown Court accepted this. Sabina received 5 years to be served at Bronzefield Women's Prison. Though this information is rarely included in the accepted timeline, on December 6, 2012, some footage was uploaded anonymously to the internet that should significantly change the understanding of the events 10 years ago.
She's been hit twice, so...
Now the woman is safely restrained. PC Finlayson updates his senior officer.
This one has then gone over the bonnet of that car. She's then got a punch trace and ran across there.
This one?
Yeah.
Is she under arrest at the moment?
Well, 136 and she is.
Shot at the same time as the footage that aired in both Traffic Cops and Madness in the Fast Lane. It shows 2 police officers standing in the shoulder of the M6 highway after the motorway incident, agreeing that the sisters would be giving a 136, which is a clause within the Mental Health Act that means the police can hold a person on account of their mental health, as well as having to give the detainee a mental health assessment. Neither of these things happened. It is believed that the police requested that BBC Mentorn Productions, who shot the footage, remove the segment from the film. What this means is that Sabina should never have been released just after 1 day, meaning Glenn Hollinshead would never have met her, meaning Glenn Hollinshead never would have been stabbed. As to why he was stabbed, it's unlikely we'll ever know. Since her release from prison in 2011, Sabina Eriksson has disappeared. Her whereabouts are unknown to this day. Alright guys, thank you again so much for watching. If you like this video, or if you would just like to support this channel, please like and go subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos. Well, I'll see y'all with another true crime episode next week. Good night.